Yikes. This doesn't look too good.
I'll find out who I was.
They did not save your life. They stole it.
Hey there guys, how are you? It's me, the Canadian movie buff, with a review of Ghost in the Shell. It takes place in the city of Tokyo in a time in the future where people can get cybernetic body parts. The plot goes like this. Scarlett Johansson plays a woman named Mira Killian who was in a terrible accident and had her brain transferred to a robot body. Now she works as a major in the Anti-Terrorism Bureau, Section 9, where she is currently hunting down a cyber terrorist known as Kuze. Right when the casting call was first made, it seemed as if this movie was doomed from the start. As if the whitewashing backlash wasn't enough, the trailers made it look like a copy-paste version of the Total Recall remake, and it was helmed by Snow White and the Huntsman director Rupert Sanders. Not to mention the fact that Aaron Kruger, best known for his work on Transformers 2, was on the writing team. So given all this, you would expect a terrible movie, but what should have been a disaster is actually an entertaining sci-fi action flick with some great visuals and cool characters, even if the philosophy feels too direct. First thing you notice about this movie are the visuals, which are absolutely gorgeous. The effects and the cinematography blend together to create this world that's full of color and liveliness. A welcome change, as most dystopian movies look drab and gray and depressing. It just goes to show that you can have a movie take place in the future without sticking to a single color template. So in a nutshell, the world of Ghost in the Shell is pretty lively. Speaking of lively, let's talk about the action sequences. The gunfights are reminiscent of that to Jason Bourne, the martial arts aspect was well executed, and they're shot in various angles so they stand out from your run-of-the-mill spy thriller action sequences, and they're also more appealing. Again, the cinematography is amazing. We also have a pretty interesting cast of characters. First off, we got Bateau, Major's partner. He hangs out with Major a lot outside of work to sort of show her what it means to be human and how to connect to this living, breathing world. Basically trying to help her find what she deems normal. Next on the character list, we got Togusa, who allegedly had a bigger role in the original. He's an old-fashioned type of guy. He'd rather rely on sweat and muscle rather than machine. An understandable state of mind, as this is a world where if somebody's kidney failed, they could just go out tomorrow and get a new one. And if that kidney fails, they can just go out and get a new one again. And on until the person eventually dies. But not for Togusa. He's living his life as if there was no cybernetic body part that's going to come him and set him right again. Finally, we have Chief Daisuke Aramaki, played by famous Japanese actor and director Takeshi Kitano. Now, being the head of an anti-terrorism bureau can be tough, but he also has to put up a lot with Honka, the cybernetics company that gave Major her robotic body. Every time she screws up or even slightly steps out of line, Honka comes in and says, "You better get her under control or we're pulling the plug." But of course, he's seen a lot of stuff, so this doesn't sway him at all. She may answer to you, but I answer to the Prime Minister. A very noble trait, someone who sticks to their values and doesn't let any other outside parties persuade them. Funny thing is, he's the only actor who has subtitles, yet he has the best lines of the entire movie. But then again, Kitano does do a good performance. In fact, a good majority of the cast do a good job. And on the subject of Johansson, I have to give credit where credit is due. And while I do agree she wasn't the best choice for the role, she does a better job than expected. You know the phrase, action speaks louder than words? Well, this is a movie where that phrase rings true. Every time she walks, it's very brisk, and she feels very uptight. Although you have to remember that she is a robot that's specifically designed for combat and investigation. So it makes sense that she has a style of movement that matches up to her militant attitude. And as we go through this movie, we see her character progress. She's trying to figure out what it means to be human, while also wrestling with a past that she can't seem to remember. Unfortunately, as much as we enjoy seeing Major's character development, it's undermined by the same monotone voice that Scarlett Johansson had as Black Widow and Lucy. Now, how bad is it?
Maybe next time you can design me better. Everyone around me, they feel connected to something.
Yeah, that's pretty much her dialogue throughout the entire movie. Come on, I've seen Hail Caesar, she has more range to her voice than just angsty robot. But I digress. Maybe this is just the result of her being typecast as a female lead badass with the deadpan eyes. Whether or not that is the case, at least she manages to avoid falling into a cliched archetype like Peter Ferdinando's character, Cutter. Cutter is the CEO of Honka, so of course when Major steps out of line, he goes to speak to Chief Aramaki, they have their little bit, and then he goes back to doing whatever he does. That's the problem with Cutter. He's a one-dimensional character that we don't really care about. And if you've even seen the trailer, then you know that he's probably going to be a villain by the end of the movie. I'm saying probably because I want to keep this spoiler-free, but then again, saying Cutter might be a villain is like saying Superman might be a superhero. But the worst part is that the movie doesn't even try to hide it. From the moment you see him and when you first listen to him talk, you can tell right away, yep, he's gonna be the bad guy. Okay, we can move on. But let's talk about Kuze, played by Michael Pitt, no relation to Brad. Yeah, unfortunately, he's also a lame villain. Mainly due to the fact that, like Johansson, he has a static voice that barely changes. What's weird is that in the trailer, it sounded full of life and almost human. Yet in the final product, it's devoid of any humanity and he ends up sounding like an angsty teenage version of Ultron. Now, this wouldn't bother me as much had more tweaking been done to the story. But then again, if you have the writer of Transformers 4 on your team, then what can you expect? I mean, it's not the worst story, it was okay for what it was, but the structure was predictable and the twist doesn't hit as home as the movie would like it to. I think there's a lot of unnecessary criticism surrounding this movie because they had a white actress playing the lead. But, without giving too much away, having the character being played by a non-Japanese actress is actually a key factor to the story. Even before the movie came out, I didn't have a problem with the ethnicity of the actress playing the lead role. In fact, there's a whole bunch of people out there who didn't have a problem. Even Mamoru Oshii, the director of the original 1995 anime movie, didn't have any objections of Johansson playing the character. He even told IGN, "The Major is a cyborg, and her physical form is an entirely assumed one. The name Motoko Kusanagi and her current body are not her original name and body, so there is no basis for saying that an Asian actress must portray her. Even if her original body, presuming such a thing existed, were a Japanese one, that would still apply. I can only sense a political motive from the people opposing it, and I believe artistic expression must be free from politics." So if he doesn't have a problem with it, why should we? Granted, I don't think Johansson's performance was fantastic, but she does make the material work and embraces the character as best as she can. The same could be said for all the actors in this movie. It's just unfortunate that Ferdinando and Pitt got the short end of the stick with their roles as villains. Although what matters to me is that they didn't go the route I thought they would. A Total Recall wannabe with better visuals and a female lead. You could argue that there's some similarity in design and style, but other than that, that's all there is to it. I haven't seen enough from the original anime franchise to do a fair comparison, but from what I've seen, they've stuck pretty close to the source material. So is it just another botched Hollywood remake? Well, I'd say it's more of an adaptation, but more in the way Assassin's Creed or Captain America Civil War are adaptations. A lot of it does borrow from a singular source, but it does make reference and even take influence from all aspects of the franchise. And the best part about this broad type of adaptation is that it makes longtime fans feel comfortable without scaring away any newcomers. As far as I'm concerned, this is just another entry in the series. They've looked to the material for inspiration, taken some aspects of it that they liked, and then came up with their own unique interpretation. It's not the original movie or the series being remade, it's a standalone live-action movie that can join the ranks of the franchise. So, in spite of the controversy, when all is said and done, Ghost in the Shell is definitely worth seeing at least once in theaters in IMAX. Seriously though, go see it, because I want to see Quentin Tarantino's Cowboy Bebop. Alright, that's my review of Ghost in the Shell. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? What anime do you think would make a great live-action movie? What are your thoughts on Netflix's live-action Death Note? Leave your answer by commenting down below, and as always, this is the Canadian Movie Buff saying I hope you had a fantastic weekend at the movies.
Shit!
Okay, I don't know what that was about, although I'm guessing he wasn't too happy about my verdict on the movie. But anyways, this is the Canadian Movie Buff saying I hope you had a fantastic weekend at the movies. See ya!
You have failed me for the last time.
I'm sorry, sir. You shot me.
That's no excuse. I have programmed you to be the most powerful robot assassin in existence. and yet you failed to take out a single film critic? How will you face the directors? How will you face Hollywood?
He was visibly armed and hard to hit.
Very well. I see you have outlived your usefulness.
Sir? Sir?
You don't know this yet, James, but I have very big plans for you. Very big plans.
Even though it's been some time since the encounter, I must not let it get in the way of my work. I am getting ready for my next project.